Located just half an hour from the sparkling lights of Las Vegas is a spot that is not only beautiful, but full of history as well. The historic Railroad Tunnel Trail is around 8 miles round trip and offers stunning views of Lake Mead, the chance to safely go through 5 retired train tunnels, and if that wasn't good enough, it also will take you to the Hoover Dam. The vast majority of this trail is almost completely flat. However, if you do decide to go all the way down to the Hoover Dam, you will be experiencing an elevation change of about 575 feet. It didn't seem too brutal, but then again, we were there on a nice cool day. As the sign that we just passed says, do not attempt this hike between June and September because of the extreme heat. With the exception of the tunnels, this hike is pretty much completely exposed to the sun. One thing that we do like about this trail though is that it is nice and wide. This makes it great for a combination of hiking and bicycling. It is also wheelchair and stroller friendly if you don't mind a slightly bumpy ride. Let's get into some of the unique history of this trail. It has history dating all the way back to the 1930s. This is just a small section of the 30 miles of railroad that ran all the way from Boulder City to the Hoover Dam. 6 companies were contracted to build the dam, and they used the railroad to connect to cement mixing plants, a quarry pit, and a gravel sorting plant. Even though the train track itself is no longer here, this is the only section of the track that has not been developed by builders or is under the water of Lake Mead. If you look hard enough, you can still see some remnants of the extreme challenges that the builders had to go through though. You can see these concrete plugs which were used to prevent the water flow through the intake while the turbines were installed in the dam. And you will also see the tunnels which were created in only 5 months. That's pretty impressive when you consider the technology that they were using at the time. Each of the tunnels average about 300 feet long and 25 feet in diameter. They had to be a bit oversized because the trains that were coming through were bringing penstock sections and other large equipment. It's pretty crazy to be in these tunnels and know that at one point there was 9 steam engines, 4 gas locomotives, and 71 people using these tunnels 24 hours a day. There are also several points on this hike where you'll get a really nice view of the Las Vegas Boat Harbor, which has been in operation since 1957. Some bonehead thought that it would be really fun to light tunnel number 2 on fire in 1990, but luckily thanks to a material known as shotcrete, they were able to preserve the tunnel and keep it as part of the trail. Another interesting fact about the area is that before Lake Mead existed, the land was being used by the builders of the Hoover Dam, and they did not live in a life of luxury. In a place that was known as Ragtown, the lucky people lived in log cabins, while others lived in torn-up tents and cardboard structures. Imagine how rough that must have been for the families having nowhere to hide from the summers with the over 120-degree temperatures. I bet they would be super mad if they knew that just a couple decades later there would be a lake there. As miserable as these conditions were, times were hard. It was the middle of the Great Depression, and it probably seemed like a better deal than not working at all. So at its peak, over 5,200 people and their families were brought into the area to help construct the dam. Although the tunnel and dam builders are obviously long gone from the area, there is still life here. If you're lucky, you might spot lizards, ravens, quail, coyotes, bighorn sheep, and between May and October, the tunnels are known to be inhabited by thousands of Mexican free-tailed bats. Much like tunnel number 2, the 5th and last tunnel has caught on fire before. The fire happened in 1978, and believe it or not, the tunnel was actually sealed all the way up until 2001. Luckily, shotcrete was able to save this tunnel as well. Please note that this gate that we're walking through is only open during daylight hours. As much fun as it would be to do this hike at sunset, you will not be able to make it all the way to Hoover Dam, or if you're at Hoover Dam, you won't be able to get back to your car, so please plan accordingly. After passing a maintenance yard, you're going to be making a left. Just after that, you're going to make a right at this greenish building. This is where this trail gets all of its elevation change from. Luckily, at least for now, it's going to be downhill all the way to Hoover Dam. After passing the greenish building, you will be only about 1.7 miles away from the dam and the Colorado River. If you like random facts, buckle up because I have a couple coming for you right now. At 150,000 acres, Lake Mead is the largest reservoir in the country. With that much water, you need quite an impressive structure to hold it back. Well, the Hoover Dam has it covered. At 726 feet tall and 1,244 feet long, this structure is absolutely massive. At its base, it is 660 feet thick. That is more than 2 football fields. And that is needed because at the base, it is withstanding a pressure of 45,000 pounds per square foot. As we got closer to the dam, we entered an area that we weren't really sure if we were supposed to be in, but the trail is really well marked. The next thing we knew, we were surrounded by electrical towers and retired parts from the turbines. Even though we weren't exactly sure what they do, it was pretty cool to see the sheer size of some of these parts. At this point, you are getting very close to the Hoover Dam. The trail does get a tiny bit confusing, but you just need to head across this street and down this ramp. Here you will be getting your first look at the Michael Callahan and Pat Tillman Memorial Bridge. It sits just across from the Hoover Dam, but you can't see it because it is tucked just around the corner to the left. And that's pretty much where you are going to be heading. At the back of the parking garage on the left, you'll find an elevator that'll take you down to the ground floor. The view from up here isn't that great, so we figured we'd head down and check it out. Here's another crazy fact about the Hoover Dam. There was enough concrete used in its construction to build a 4-foot wide sidewalk around the Earth at its equator. Or if you prefer traveling a little bit faster, it could build a 2-lane highway from Seattle, Washington to Miami, Florida. After crossing the street, you're maybe 100 yards from a really good viewpoint of both the dam and the Memorial Bridge. It was one of those times where we wished that we could freeze time and do everything, because we had to decide if we wanted to go on to the actual Hoover Dam or if we wanted to make our way up to the Memorial Bridge. We didn't want to miss the cutoff and have the gate be closed on our way back, so we decided that we would just go up to the Memorial Bridge to get a really good view of the dam. To do that, you're going to go back the same way that you came, take the elevator up to the parking garage and head back to that street that you went across. The only difference is this time, instead of crossing the street, you are going to be making a left. Just a heads up, going to the center of the bridge will add about 1.2 miles to your hike. Even though we technically never left Nevada, there is this Welcome to Nevada sign for all the people that drove over the Hoover Dam from the Arizona side. It's kind of a fun photo op if you like having your picture taken with states welcome signs. Once again, we were a little bit confused on which way to go because this gate at the top of the stairs looked a little bit uninviting, but it was open. Now, we've heard some facts about the Hoover Dam, but we haven't talked much about the Memorial Bridge. You might not be familiar with the two men that this bridge is dedicated to. Michael Callahan was a decorated Korean War veteran and the governor of Nevada from 1971 to 1979. And Pat Tillman was a famous football player from Arizona State University and the Arizona Cardinals. He gave up his multi-million-dollar football career to join the US Army, where he was unfortunately killed by friendly fire in 2004. Besides having an absolutely postcard-worthy view of the Hoover Dam, this bridge has several impressive stats as well. It is the second tallest bridge in the United States. It is also the highest concrete arch bridge in the world and the widest concrete arch in the Western Hemisphere. It is pretty cool that you get to see two marvels of engineering so close together. We would have loved to have stayed longer, but we knew we had to get back before that gate was closed, and we knew that it was going to be uphill on the way there. While this is nowhere near the steepest trail that we've ever climbed, it is a little bit on the steep side and it goes on for quite a while. The good thing is that you can see that greenish building basically from the second that you cross through this gate. That's right around where the climbing ends, so you can use that as your motivation. Since this trail is an out and back trail, you can look forward to that nice flat walk back to the car after you burn your legs up coming up that hill. There are so many things that we loved about this hike. Everything from how unique it is with all the tunnels and its history, to the massive payoff at the end with the Hoover Dam and the Memorial Bridge. And the other great thing is that even though we ended up hiking a little bit over 10 miles on this trail, it's so flat that we weren't even that tired at the end of it. That uphill might have you breathing heavy for a second, but after you catch your breath, it should be pretty easy from there on out. What I'd really like to do is come back here again and do this on our mountain bikes, just to change up the experience a little bit. One thing's for sure, hikes like this and Goldstrike Canyon, which I will link in the upper corner, have given me a newfound respect for Nevada's amazing outdoors. If you have any other awesome Nevada hikes that you think we should check out, be sure to let us know in the comments below. We'd like to send a huge thank you out to the Department of the Interior, National Park Service, Lake Mead National Recreation Area for all of the historical photos that we used in this video. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram at thatadventurelife_official, and for all the information about the historic railroad trail as well as other awesome things to do in Nevada, head on over to thatadventurelife.com.